It is Monday, April 30th, the last day of April before we go into May. Morgan Wright, head of Sheepdog Nation, Jack Bauer, Cyber Sheepdog Extraordinaire, bringing you the latest of what's going on for Sheepdog Nation. So all the information I'm going to talk about today is in the show notes. By the way, we had a great webinar. Thank you to Dr. Andy Garrett. A lot of people loved the information. A lot of parents learned a lot of things. So I've made that replay available. Same link as before. It'll take you to the replay page. If you didn't get on it and you didn't get the good stuff, don't worry. I can still get it to you. Just go to that link, sign up for it. We'll add you to our email list, and you can see the replay and see 1 hour of just pure goldness. I don't want to speak for just myself, but Dr. Andy, if you're listening out there, you did great as well. A lot of parents really like this. They're starting to get some insight on the psychology of social media, how it's impacting our kids, and that kind of brings me to today's story. There's this thing called GDPR. Many of you may not know what it is, and after I tell you, many of you may not care, but here's why you're going to care. It's a global data privacy regulations that are being passed in Europe. Europe now is coming down with some very strict privacy laws for a couple reasons. Number one, because of social media. The explosion of data breaches, the explosion of identity theft, the loss of information. So they've decided to crack down. I don't always normally like what the EU does, but in this case, I think they're onto something, and I think it will come over here to the United States, and here's why. They're really cracking down on how you treat information, the right to be forgot in certain places, like why should Google keep to index you on something that, say, was you were arrested for something that was blatantly false, and now you've been completely cleared of it. They found the person who did it. Why should that story about your arrest be allowed to exist in the archives there that people can look at? I mean, that's one example, and I guess some people say, well, because it's real news. Well, but it's punishing you because it keeps bringing up something you never did. Now, you were arrested, but you never did the crime. They found who did it. They convicted it. So this is actually one of the cases that spurred this whole thing. So based on that, guess what's happening now? They've raised, that's why this thing's called WhatsApp. We're going from, guess what? WhatsApp. It's going from 13 to 16. Who cares? You care because Facebook is raising the age of when kids are allowed to use the app. Now, trust me, there'll be kids who do it anyway, just like drinking. You know, we know some kids are going to pop a can or, do something. They shouldn't be doing that. But you take the world as you find it, not as you wish it was. There is no safety in denial. First rule of being a sheepdog parent. But we need to work with that. So what's happening is that they're raising the age from 13 to 16. That's going to have a huge impact because if parents follow what the law says, and these companies follow the law as well, if you're not 16 and they can show that you're not 16 and you can't verify your age, you're not going to have access to the app, or you should not be allowed to have access to the app. I think it's for a lot of reasons, but I'm telling you guys, privacy is one of the big reasons. Let's go to that story here real quick, and I'll tell you about it. So you can see right here, what they're showing about is up until now, you had to be at least 13 to use WhatsApp. And remember, WhatsApp is owned by Facebook. They bought it for like $17 gazillion, $17 billion actually. So now what you'll see is that they're raising the age to 16 because of the new data privacy regulations. And in the next few weeks, users will have to sign up to new rules where they will also be asked to confirm their age. So here's the deal. You can lie about it and say that you're 16 when you're not and get access to the app. Parents can find out that, oh, well, yeah, you have the app, but, it wasn't really that big of a deal and allow you to use it. So therefore, are you setting the example? No, you're not setting the example. So the terms of service, it's about giving you much more power over how you protect your children's privacy than giving it to these companies. So it's designed to protect children. I mean, obviously, there's some kids who are thinking, no, I should be allowed to have access to it. Guys, it's just like, so do kids get a vote on when they get to start driving? Should we make it 13? Should we make it 12? How about 11? When is too young to drive? So I think there are certain things that, as bad as it sounds to some people, this is where you need to become a benevolent dictator. We don't get to vote on where the mortgage money is spent or the healthcare money is spent. So there are some things that are just non-negotiable, and following the law ought to be one of those non-negotiable things. If they say it's 16, it ought to be 16. So anyway, the reason I say that is because what happens in the EU, especially in privacy, especially with the antitrust suits against Google and Facebook, ends up finding its way to the United States at some point in time. And that means coming to an iPhone near you, you may start finding out soon that in order to be compliant throughout the globe, it's going to be easier, especially in the United States, to raise the age to 16, and so they can be in compliance with all the countries and not worrying about having to segment out data between 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds and everybody else who's 16 and above. So you may see this, not because the United States has copied the European Union law. It's because it's going to be easier to comply with it. And trust me, there are huge fines over there if you don't do this kind of stuff. Okay. So anyway, hey, check out the new site, morganwright.us. Today, when I get done with this, I am recording the first of 5 podcasts. So the podcast will start going live. I'm going to get them all done today. Should have them published here in the next 48 hours. So start looking for that. I'll put that into the next blurb that I do here. Check out all the free resources. I've got a link to my resource page now too, where I'll start be adding stuff, everything from how to protect against identity theft against your children, to some books that I suggest reading. One of them is called Boundaries, because either you set boundaries or the children will set them for you, and some other things like that. So I'll be putting that stuff in there. Always make sure, look at the stuff below or to the side or above, whatever it is. You'll get free access to all of my courses that are out there. Most importantly, sign up for that webinar replay. Get the access to Dr. Andy's 4-page guide, how to grow the family that you want. Basically, it's learning to thrive. Very interesting discussion that we had this last Thursday night. Make sure you sign up. The webinar is only 1 hour, but packed with great information, some key takeaways, and as always, some freebies and some goodies for you to use, okay? So here's what we're going to do. Jack Bauer and I have got to get back to work. We've got to get working on this podcast. Go check out the new page, morganwright.us. Completely reconfigured it to focus on protecting kids. And remember, be the example. Get off your cell phone. Be intentional. Pay attention to your kids. Don't do it during dinner. Don't do it while you're out at the movies. Don't do it while you're going out to eat. Listen to your kids. Watch your kids. Set the example, because you either set the example or some stranger is going to set the example. I'd rather have it be you. All right. Until Wednesday, which I will be doing this probably from Crystal City. I'll be down at a conference. So I'll be in some hotel, fancy hotel, I guess, down there. We'll be doing it from there. But until then, be the example. Stay safe. Morgan Wright, Jack Bauer, out. And here we go again. I've got to find the off button. There it is. Sorry.